Hello, you're listening to or watching What's the Tea? My name is Lydia.
And my name's Andy.
Basically, we're two former support workers catching up with each other either over a cuppa or it's getting hot now, so it's more like a cold drink, isn't it? Cold beverage. And navigating, kind of working out how to navigate life, chatting through some big world problems. However, we're not experts. No. We're not definitely not experts.
We're not.
You should see our group chat. It's definitely not experts.
Don't see our group chat. So it has been quite a while since we're here. So the last batch of episodes kind of did a few back to back, and
yes, because of
actually
scheduling.
it's been longer than it actually looks like. So if it looks like we don't have a clue what we're doing,
it's because it's been 2 months for us.
We're totally out of practice, and
yeah. So it looks like it's been a month for you guys listening or watching, but for us, it's been 2 months.
Yes. So how's it been?
Yeah, I had a lovely 2-week vacation after filming last. It wasn't the last. Yeah, it was the last episode. We did the intro and outro.
Because that was the whole reason why we recorded.
Yeah.
Because you went away and left me.
You went away as well. During that week.
Yeah, for like a few days. You left
Yeah,
country.
I went for 2 weeks and I went to Tenerife, which was lovely. Very sunny.
Very nice.
Yeah, definitely needed. I feel like I need another holiday, which we'll get into a bit later as to why I feel like I need another holiday. But yeah, no, it's been good. How have you been? What have you been up to?
I mean, nothing as exciting as all that. Really, I could talk about how I'm doing kitchen garden at home. I could talk about tidying up the studio, which
I was a bit mean.
FYI,
I was a bit mean because on the notes he was like,
tidied?
"Yeah, well, on the notes because we're not we're not scripted. You're
You're
gonna let me speak, Andy? You doing it again?
Mean to me.
Doing it again? You're not letting me speak. No, so we're not scripted, but we have notes just to help guide us because otherwise we talk a load of nonsense when it's just us two.
This would just be nonsense.
Yeah. So it's a guide, and he mentioned about tidying the studio, and I looked around and I went, Andy, what did you tidy up?
Mean.
I was
mean.
It is a little bit tidier, but it's hard to keep a studio tidy when you've got loads of instruments. You can't see it on camera. But there's like 2 keyboards, there's drums, there's guitars, there's amps.
It's a studio and storage space all rolled into one.
But the wires look a lot neater.
But I feel we are kind of almost ignoring the obvious point.
Yeah.
So how have you been? Is there anything you'd like to share? Is there anything you would like to mention? Should we put the spotlight back on?
So our alumni listeners will already know this because for anyone that's listening on any other platform, such as kind of like Spotify, YouTube, or any other podcast provider, we have an ex-resident alumni group, closed group, where we also post the episodes, but we also post like updates. So the alumni group already know this, but for listeners out there, however many listeners we have that are not alumni, I have a new job.
Yes, you do.
I have a new job.
So
I'm not leaving YMCA Exeter, but I have a new job.
And that is a good thing.
No.
That is a very
YMCA
good thing.
Exeter forever.
Shall we give some background to what's going on?
Should I say what my new job is and then we can then say what it's about, or do you want to give background first? Because I feel like I've said I've got a new job and then we're just leaving them hanging.
Yeah, go on then. I mean, we have rough notes that we can ignore at will, no problems whatsoever.
I say we're not scripted. We do have notes, but I never follow the notes, which really you can see Andy's eye going and twitching like this is not what I found for.
And she looks at me like, why are you being so confused?
Yeah, okay, you do you. You lead, I'll follow.
So, in 2022, we opened up Siddle Studios.
Yes.
Which was a newly converted warehouse containing, 26 self-contained student apartments in the heart of Exeter for people at the end of their supported accommodation journey.
It was one of the biggest projects, I think, that YMCA Exeter's done in terms of renovating a space, building as many places, because
Totally.
obviously our St. David's Hill, which is our stage 1, has been around for donkey's years. And then stage 2 is houses. It's a little bit smaller. But this was like a huge development.
So this is a warehouse that I think was basically unused.
Yeah, it was. It was derelict, basically.
And it's been brought up, it's been completely renovated and looks nice in there.
Well, it's beautiful.
People in there who are now living, they're thriving in their own home.
Yeah.
And it's great to have a look around inside. Last year, we unveiled plans for more supported accommodation.
When we say we,
YMCA Exeter.
cool, just clarifying.
Yes.
Not me or you.
No. So taking kind of everything we've learned and kind of basing that, setting that within Torbay.
Yeah.
All this kind of got to the point where it needs a new housing manager.
Yeah. So in my new job, drum roll. Can we insert a drum roll sound? Or do we have to do it here? My new job is Torbay Housing Manager.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done.
So basically what that means is it's a step up from what I'm currently doing. So I'm managing one project at the moment, stage 1. So now I'm overseeing more projects. Got a bigger team to line manage. So yeah, it's bigger responsibility. It's exciting times, but also it's exciting times for us as a whole, but individually for me, it's big change. And for anyone that doesn't know me, which might be quite a lot of you, I don't like change. Change causes me anxiety. It makes me very emotional talking about it, because it's just my body responding to something that's making me feel very uncomfortable and anxious. So I'm leaving Exeter, the Exeter team,
which I'm not okay with.
Yeah.
But
so
anyway.
relocating to Torbay offices when whatever that looks like and whenever that will be. And also I live in Exeter because I'm the warden. I live on site at our stage 1 property. I will also be moving house, not for some time yet, months down the line, probably more winter time. I'm also moving house to Paynton. So it's also change of job, moving offices and location, and moving house. It's a big 3 there, a big trio of change.
Okay. So I'm going to interrupt. I'm going to give you a chance to kind of breathe, and because I know talking about change and change is coming up ahead isn't always your favoritist thing.
No.
I'm going to give a shout out to anyone who may be listening to this and thinking that actually they'd quite like to help us set up new support, new housing for homeless young people in the Torbay area. If you'd like to get involved, please look for the link in the podcast notes and click on that, and you'll find out more information about this project and a form to fill out to say, "Hey, I'd like to know more about how I can help."
Yeah, so could be just being like, we're praying for you. It could be, I want to donate something to you. So it's all on there.
I've got a particular set of kind of DIY skills.
Yeah.
Can we work together?
Yeah.
Or
like, for example, we're on the seafront. If you are in the Torbay area or know someone in the Torbay area that does, I don't know, sea sports, and you're like, oh, do you know what? This would be great for your young people. Let's connect. Then put your details in that form, because we'd be really keen to kind of, get as many connections as possible to help us form this service for the young people of Torbay.
So, back to change.
Woohoo! Love change.
So we've slotted in the advert. Back to change and what does this all mean? So does it mean that you're leaving the podcast?
Oh, so this is your number one priority, the podcast. Is she leaving me to do it on my own?
Oh, whilst recording the podcast. Yes.
No, so the podcast will be we'll be staying. I'm still doing the podcast. It's one thing that I was like, I'm not leaving it. I really enjoy making it. I really enjoy kind of seeing our listeners interact with us. And so far we've had some great apps reach out to us because we've mentioned them, and I really want to continue that because it's so fun. It just might mean that our setup will look different.
Yes.
So there will be days of the month that I will be coming up to Exeter because I have meetings here or whatever. But there might be times where we need to record, and for whatever reason, because of my diary, calendar, logistics, I might not be able to be here in person. So Andy and a wonderful intern of ours, Noah.
Yes.
If you're watching this, thank you.
I
know. Have created a way that we can do it via Teams, via a software like Teams.
So it won't be Teams, but it'll be done remotely.
Yeah. So it'll be a new setup. So all you'll see is our faces in like little Polaroids next to each other. So yeah, it'll be a very different aesthetic, vibe, look if you're watching the podcast.
Yes.
But if you're listening, there will be no change. There might be a different quality of sound.
A little bit. It might be.
But if you're only listening to it and you're not watching it, there won't be hopefully much change. But if you're watching it, there'll be change.
There might be less interrupting of each other because
Andy, you love interrupting me.
Separation thing. We have to wait for each other to finish talking. It'll be fine, is what we're talking about. How are you dealing with the whole concept of change?
Well, let's just. I want to go back a bit, if that's okay, and I'll come to this. So I had to apply for the job. I had to interview for the job. Just because I work for the YMCA, YMCA Exeter, doesn't mean it was given to me. An advert went out, people applied, I applied, interviewed, and then obviously I was successful. And it is interesting because I think the episode that we recorded, which was fear of failure, was around the time that I was thinking about applying. So it was actually talking on this podcast that actually gave me the boost I needed to apply, because I was just like, it's okay if I fail. Still didn't like how I felt through the process, but so some people, if you want to go back and listen, you might be able to pick up some little things. I certainly did, but obviously I knew what was going through my mind.
I think there is occasionally a subtle story thread that's gone through the episode.
And I think if you're watching it, you can see us like looking at each other, because we'd had a conversation before recording about me applying for this job, and I was like, it actually ties quite well into the episode that we're recording. If you want to see if you can notice any little hints, please do go watch back. It's quite funny. So how am I dealing with the change? So when I got offered the job, it was the day that I had the interview. So I was really tired because I'd not slept. It was emotionally exhausting. If anyone's done an interview, that you are mentally exhausted because you're trying to be your best, you're trying to be on it, it's using all your mental energy and capacity. So I was exhausted when they offered it to me, obviously accepted. And then 2 days later, it hit me. And I was like, oh my goodness, have I made the right decision? And there's
textbook.
And then I had kind of a bit.
Lydia, anyway.
Yeah, it's me. Then I had a bit of a crying episode the Friday night. A little bit of a breakdown, and I don't mind talking about this because I'm quite open on this podcast about how I experience my difficulties. Andy, you might want to take note. No, I'm joking. You can
I don't know what you mean. I'm perfectly.
You're perfectly well-adjusted human being.
Yeah, I'm completely functional.
No, it just kind of hit me. I was really exhausted as well, and it just kind of hit me of all this change. And then I was kind of fine. So I go through episodes of being really excited. I'm like, this is the best change. This is so exciting. This is a great opportunity. To then the next day being like, oh my goodness, what have I done? Is this the right decision? Should they have gone with someone else? Yeah. So a little bit of it, like, the fear, it's a little bit of a combination of fear of failure as well in the back of my mind, I think. It's that little voice of being like, you're going to suck at this. You're not going to do a good job at this. Why did they pick you? A lot of imposter syndrome. But also it's kind of like, it's new territory. It's not something I'm familiar with. All my friends that I work with are going to be in Exeter. I'm going with a whole new team of people I don't know. I've interviewed them, but I don't know them on a deeper level.
Yeah.
However, the moving back to painting doesn't bother me because I grew up in painting. So I'm going back to my roots and my family all down there and my roots. So that doesn't bother me. It's the actual changing department, team, leaving what I'm familiar with to do something new. Okay. So I haven't really talked about how I'm dealing with it. I've just talked about how it's impacting me. How I'm dealing with it is taking day by day, kind of having a lot of self-talk of being like, you're going to be okay. You know, it's not happening overnight. You're not on your own. You've got the CEOs backing you, supporting you. My friends at work are like rooting for me and there for me. My family and friends are behind me, rooting for me. And because it's a new project as well, a lot of stuff we're figuring out before, you know, because we don't know when we're going to be opening or anything like that. So
there's still a lot of stuff to be confirmed,
to organise and everything like that. And I'm someone that likes structure, plans. And at the moment, a lot of people are asking me questions that I don't have the answers to yet. And I'm like, that doesn't help my fear of change. But I do feel this is something that's needed for me to grow.
Okay.
You know, I don't like change, and this is probably the biggest change that at the moment I've gone through. So I think I'm going to grow as an individual from this experience for the better. And that's what I keep telling myself. I'm praying a lot so anyone that may not know or is just tuned in to our podcast, YMCA Exeter is a Christian organisation. So we're all practicing Christians. So I'm praying a lot, and I'm like, and this is something we talked about, which is God equips the called, he doesn't call the equipped. So I'm like, God's called me to this, he's going to equip me, it's going to be fine. So, yeah.
So, okay.
As you can tell from that ramble, how change is affecting me.
So we've got some unpacking to do, and hopefully not have it as a live counselling session in.
But if you want to do that, that's totally fine with me.
So I think change comes in many different forms.
Oh, 100%.
And one change for one person, another person could like look at it and be like, well, what of it? But actually for someone else, that's like a massive deal. So just because I guess what I'm saying is that if you're listening to this and you're there thinking, well, actually moving city and starting a new job is quite a big change. I don't feel, you know, okay about being worried about this change going. Ignore that thought process. If there is change coming up and you're worried about it, then hopefully this podcast is also for you too.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I think that's why when we talked about kind of, we've planned the schedule coming up, and there was definitely something that I wanted to talk about, because I think a lot of people aren't comfortable talking about how change affects them, whether it's big change or small change, or change doesn't affect them, and it helps them understand someone they know that change affects them, and you know, so that's why I want to talk about it.
Something you said about taking one day at a time can be very helpful, especially if in the time leading up to something happening, or if it's a case of moving house. It could be a case that actually having a bit of a plan could be helpful, so you know what to expect. And that could be day one, I'm going to do this. And that could be just unpacking.
Yeah.
Week one, I'm going to have a nose around my new neighbourhood.
Yeah.
I know that's not the case for you too much because you know Torbay.
I know Torbay, yeah. But if you're moving, yeah, that's true. And I think also talking about planning as well, this is something that I've done, is a to-do list, like things that you need to get done.
Yeah.
So all questions that you have that you need the answers to, whether it's for a new job or whatever it is that you're like, you know, it's just getting it out. That's what I found really helpful. It's just typing it on my phone or on my computer, just so it's not in my head circling. And I think whatever the change is, small, big, I think that's been the biggest help for me, is just getting all of those thoughts out, so they're not circling in my head all the time. And I'm like, oh, I need to remember that. I need to remember this. I need to remember. It's written down. So
yeah, so you're not kind of overburdened by the kind of things you feel you have to do.
Yeah,
and it's out of your head and it's there on paper. it on paper could look scary, but at least you don't have to flip and remember it.
Yeah, exactly.
you know?
Yeah. Or once you've got it down, you'd be like, well, I don't really need to know that. That's irrelevant.
Yeah.
You can then sort through the rubbish to the actual things that you need to know. Because our brain is great, especially when we're not feeling great about something, whether it's anxiety, change, the unexpected, whatever it is. Our brain can create things and get us to think about and worry about things that we don't need to think about or worry about.
And on that subject of what our brain is doing, you just talked about writing down like tasks that needs to be done. Actually, write down how you're feeling.
Yeah.
So it's actually kind of down on paper or on your phone or in an app or whatever. Because at least that way it's kind of out of your head.
Yeah.
And it's down on quote unquote paper.
Yeah, I think it's just so you're not it's not circling in your head. It gives you that space to process it, like journaling, for example. Like I've done journaling and I love journaling, and by the time you've kind of finished journaling, you're like, oh, I feel so much better. I've kind of solved that problem for myself. But also I one of the things that I'm very blessed and I'm very thankful that I have a great team at YMCA Exeter. Like our CEOs are really great, management's great. You know, you and Chris are great in terms of supporting me.
Hi, Chris.
Is telling people, being like, I really struggle with change. I'm really struggling with this. This is how I feel. Family, friends, whoever is telling someone that you know that knows you well. Talking to people so they can support you through it. And obviously, if you're not your normal self, they know why. Has been a big help for me adjusting to this, and will be a big help.
One other exercise that I've been told about, which sounds good to me. I'm hopefully going to explain it properly. But write down different aspects of who you are.
Ooh.
And that could be your interests. It could be things you like to eat. It could be where you're living. It could be what you're doing with your time. It could be what you like watching on TV. And so you have it down on paper, and you keep that piece of paper, so when after a change happens or in the lead up to it, it helps to visualize the impacts. So it could be that because I've moved house, all right, so I don't live here anymore, but this part of me is still the same. This part of me is still the same. This part of me is still the same.
See.
I still like eating chocolate.
Ooh,
I still like watching Doctor Who. This part of me is still the same. Still have too much Lego still to build.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. So you can have on paper the fact that even though this massive thing has happened, actually all of this
still stays
is still the same.
Yeah.
And these are all building blocks of who you still are.
Yeah. No, I like that. I think you explained that very well, Andy.
Thank you very much.
No worries, yeah. So yeah, change is scary, change is good, change is the normal way of life.
Yes.
It happens, we can't stop it. But it's okay if you struggle with that. And it's okay if you don't. And I envy you, because I'd love to not be impacted by change. This is how much change impacts me. So my old line manager, Jeremy,
Hi, Jeremy.
Shaved his hair. And he had to pre-warn me he was doing that, because he knew that it would throw me off to be like, and even though I knew it was happening, he came into the office and I looked at him and I went, I knew you were doing this, and this is still, I just still don't know how I feel about this. Now I can't even imagine him with hair now. Like, I've just got so used to his bold look. But that just to give you a glimpse.
I may have also reacted when I saw the hair.
But yeah, this episode has given probably our listeners a deep insight into my inner workings of my mind.
Shall we move on?
Yes.
To
the
subject of change.
Subject of change. So weird news is our favourite segment. Well, it's our only segment of the podcast. And it's our favourite. And we've been going on the whole of last season about we need a jingle. I took it upon myself.
Got your coffee, got
Andy's
your
very
shoes.
proud of me to create a jingle.
Dive into the weirdest news. Alien squirrels or a cat that talks. Florida man on a llama walk. Headlines, strange stories.
Anyway, yes, this is where we kind of look at random.
The weird and the wonderful
News, the
world
weird
of
and wonderful.
news.
Who's going first?
I'll go first.
You'll go first.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll go first because I feel like you've gone first the last few times.
I really can't remember.
So, some people may be aware, or may not be aware, that there is a competition of rolling cheese and chasing it down a hill.
Yes.
So
It's the Gloucestershire cheese rolling race.
Yeah. So a German YouTuber,
And it is a big thing. It's like
yeah.
you've
It's
got a big
huge.
crowd of people
It's huge.
out top of a hill.
Roll some
roll of
cheese, and they all run
kinda
after
gets
it.
Rolled down the hill.
Yeah.
Big crowd of people go chasing after the cheese.
yeah. So German YouTuber Tom Cope won the notoriously dangerous annual cheese rolling race at Cooper's Hill on Bank Holiday Monday. So it's an 8-pound wheel of double Gloucester, and basically, you've got to chase it, fastest time, all of that jazz. And it's the second year in a row that he's won it. And an air ambulance had to be called after he won it due to several people being injured from chasing cheese down a hill.
He did come out and say that he risked his life
He did, and I believe
to
him.
try and.
I believe him with an air ambulance being called out to that event.
Yeah. I mean, it is literally people diving down a hill. It looks ridiculously good fun.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and it's one of the steepest hills in the UK. So when you think about a hill, you probably just think, oh, it's not that dangerous. It's just a little hill.
Yeah, we're not talking about like
No, it's like a sheer
kind of
drop.
hill. It's like
Yeah. And you think when you start running down a hill, gravity, momentum.
Yeah.
You're falling on your face, you're forward rolling. People, it's a stampede because it's a massive crowd. Like if you look up pictures, it's like a bit like a marathon race in terms of the amount of people that turn up.
Except downwards,
down a hill, chasing some cheese.
like almost directly downwards.
Obviously, you don't eat the cheese and you don't keep the cheese because it's
not
dirty.
eat the cheese?
No, it was rolled in mud, and it's probably like
Only the outside would be kind of muddy, surely.
unless you frame
It's
it.
good cheese.
Maybe he frames his cheese.
I mean, probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, have you ever kind of woken up in the morning and gone, "How did I sleep through that?"
Yeah, all the time.
Like
A storm. I'm
when
like,
a huge storm, and it's like you wake up in the morning, check Facebook, and everyone's going, "Oh, look at that lightning!" Or
That
"Whoa,
storm was
thunder,
so bad," and you're like,
whoa, and you're
"What?"
like, "What?"
Yeah.
So
All the time.
imagine waking up to find a cargo ship had crashed into your garden.
So it didn't crash into the house; it crashed into the garden.
It crashed into the garden, missing his home.
Okay. I feel like that would create a lot of noise, but at the same time, it didn't hit his house, so I could kind of see it. Kind of
So
not.
basically, a cargo ship has crashed into a man's front garden in Norway, missing his home where he was sleeping by just a few meters.
Oh my goodness.
Johan Helberg had been sound asleep when a 135-meter long container ship ran aground on Thursday morning. No injuries or oil spills have been reported, and the authorities plan to remove the ship at high tide. So basically, you got pictures there that kind of show this kind of massive ship in the guy's garden.
Yeah, don't worry, I've got the. Oh my goodness!
There you go. I'll link to it in show notes.
Oh my goodness, that's
like
it's
waking
huge.
up and going, "Oh, there's."
It's like
there's
opening
some
your
ship right
curtains and being like, because he's right on the seaside.
Yeah.
So he's got the sea as the view. It's like opening your curtains.
I wonder
and
if he
being like,
noticed something was wrong before he opened the curtains, because there would be some sort of light,
well, no, because what if he woke up in the daytime and it was already lit?
But there's less light coming through.
But the people that are running the ship, do you think they maybe jumped out and knocked on his door to make sure he was
alive?
I need to know more. I feel like we need to get this person on our podcast so I can ask him these questions, because I'm like, I've got so many questions and no answers. I'm like, did someone knock on his door?
Maybe there's a future for him in teaching people how to sleep soundly at night.
Yeah, maybe we should get him on about how
good sleep hygiene.
Yeah, sleep hygiene. How do you
That'd be great.
good deep sleep when a cargo ship crashes into your garden? I love that.
We should probably bring this to a close because I've got
Yes.
no idea how long this one's gone on
Oh,
for.
it's fine.
If you made it this far,
Congratulations. Well done.
thank you for listening and or watching to What's for Tea. Please don't forget to subscribe to us on your favourite podcast provider or find us on the YMCA Exeter YouTube channel. Catch you next time.
Thanks, guys. Bye.